Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Tonight Show podcast for today, the 22nd of October, live on YouTube. I'm your presenter, Chai. So I was moving it a day early tonight due to squash commitments tomorrow. So I will not be able to film tomorrow, but we're on tonight. So plenty of news to come for tonight's show. I'm joined by Life Party supporter Zach James for all the latest news. Hello, Zach.
Hello, Charlie. Hello, mate.
So everyone, we're live now on YouTube. Please tune in if you want to listen to all the latest news from the world of politics, sport, and much more. Great content. We've got loads to talk about. Anyway, should we start with our planks of the week? I have my plank of the week this week. Two, actually, in fact, to be precise. The first one goes to the FIA for their continuation of stopping candidates from running. It's now been announced that Mohammed Ben Sulayem will now be continued to serve as the next FIA president. Why cancel elections, man? This just is. They're in crisis right now, the FIA. Leadership issues, Formula One in general in crisis with the way penalties have been given out. Obviously, I will come on to the race in a little while at COTA, where there was actually a good penalty that one driver will be facing for the next race this weekend in Mexico. So, yeah, but just complete shambles down at the FIA. More issues around candidates. Tim Mayers recently had to pull out. He was the one challenging current president Mohammed Ben Sulayem. But sadly, Mohammed Ben Sulayem will remain as the FIA president without elections. Now, as well, I have another nomination this week that I'm going to be giving, and that is also to Alpine for Franco Colapinto deciding to ignore team orders and overtake Pierre Gasly in the race. Alpine, you were not fighting for the front, you're fighting for what is effectively last place. Stop bothering your team. I can hear some echo going on. That's my microphone. My camera there, so I do apologise for that. With the echoing in the background there. That's my laptop playing up for you. I'm still Benjamin for it, but that's all I'm going to say. Zach, what's your plans for the week this week?
I mean, my one this week in very hately fashion is probably actually, do you know what who I'm gonna give it to? I've just thought this. I am going to give it to what the unofficially but still well known Prince Andrew, the plank of the week for me. He has had all his titles, and he's no longer using his titles basically. And now Parliament, there's a growing consensus in Parliament that he should have some of his orders of the Crown removed and all that sort of thing as well. This is to allegations from a new book that come out where he's allegedly had sexual intercourse with Virginia Jeffrey as well in the new in the new book that's provided by her shadow writer. And some serious allegations that come out in this book. The royal family obviously were prepared for this. Stripped, basically, Andrew stopped using his titles, and now the Parliament wants to take further action to stop him using the taxpayer-funded mansion home in Balmoral that's commonly used. But so Andrew gets the plank of the week for me. I mean, he's typical Andrew. Mars himself in scandals, involves himself in the idiocy that he is, and there's a liability and wastes our taxpayer money on his association with a pervert. So I don't think he deserves. I don't think he deserves our money. I think he deserves the plank of the week, if anything, as well.
Well, I think that is certainly a very interesting situation for sure. In regards to that, I'm sorry guys, I'm just literally trying to get my microphone I'm just going to stop that. There we go. I'm just going to close my laptop down for the minute. Literally my end is literally like playing up tonight. There we go. I've literally had to I've had to modify all of my microphone settings just to get the whole thing working. It is It is crazy, honestly. My whole stream is playing up tonight. I do apologise. If you can still hear me, I'm Charlie Tolhurst. I'm currently now. Yes, even my phone's playing up. Brilliant. Everything. God, am I unlucky tonight? Everything is playing up on my phone. But yes, Prince Andrew certainly not having a great ride at the moment there as well. So it's going to be very interesting to see how he gets on as well for a fact. So yes, certainly interesting news on that one. Moving on now to some news regarding some big departures this week. Mike Graham leaving Talk Radio after a Facebook post which has caused controversy for some of the mainstream media, and also as well Dr. Hillary leaving Good Morning Britain. Zach, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I just want to clarify a few things on that one. So let me give you the situation to the Mike Graham situation. On Sunday night, he posted a very derogatory Facebook post, which involved a racist post on Facebook. So it had a picture on him, and then it talked about multiculturalism. He's been asked a racist post. He said on Sunday, a person shared on Graham's Facebook, which featured a picture of a Churchill statue, a picture of people in London Underground. The picture is accompanied by the caption. I won't obviously say the full thing. Tell me why we're not effed by a multicultural what's it? Why are we surrounded by non-white people? Just F off. That was the bit. That caused lots of controversy. The post following universal condemnation, obviously the post was deleted. The presenter then claimed that his account had been hacked. But I have seen people on social media not playing ball with the comment. In fact, one person pointed out the parody account, Henry Morris, posted, "Impresses the hacker used the picture you just posted on the Twitter moments beforehand." And it was not the exact same picture, but a very similar picture, actually, with very similar people in it, but with a few frames later. So Mike Graham put on Sunday on my Facebook accessing a via message I posted on my page from my knowledge, contained words that I never use and an opinion I don't share. As soon as I found I immediately deleted the post and have taken down to ensure my cybersecurity. Now, the Daily Mail originally reported that that Mike Graham had been sacked from Talk Radio, or Talk, shall we just say, because that's what they're called. But here's the thing: the Daily Mail have now corrected their they've now corrected their post, saying that he's now been suspended. That's obviously sacked and suspended are two different things, as well. But he has been suspended pending further investigation. Jeremy Kyle is now doing the morning show, a breakfast show, in for Mike Graham whilst he's suspended, and I believe Peter Cardwell, the Talk political editor, is now doing the drive time show for a period as well. I mean, this is the same Mike Graham, by the way, that believes that you could grow concrete. So it just shows the intelligence of that as well. But I get that there is a point here that his photos that he posted October 19th, and then a few minutes later, another photo with the exact same things, but just a few frames later. It's just funny how it coincidentally posted that as well. But yeah, it's just very interesting as well. But yeah, that's a strange one. Now, on regarding, so I actually think for me, I think it deserves a suspension. I'm sorry, but it's absolutely right. The other thing to mention as well is Dr. Hillary Jones, and you mentioned him as well. He's now he's not going to be part of the Lorraine lineup as well. He's been a regular on that show for 36 years, but obviously the show's been cut to 30 minutes from next year, and it's only not going to air during basically half-term breaks. It's only going to air, I think, about 30 out of the 52 weeks of the year. now from next year onwards. So, and with the show being reduced to half an hour, it basically means his position is lost. It's just basically some cuts needs to be made, and he's one of them. So yeah, he's out of the Lorraine show. I think he'll still appear on Good Morning Britain, but I suspect he won't be. He won't be appearing on Lorraine anymore, which is obviously a bit of a shame. He's a very good doctor, but yeah, it's just quite frankly, there's cuts to be made, and I'm afraid he's part of it.
I heard some rumours going around. Not rumours. I actually heard this was true about Dr. Hilary Jones, that he has a radio show pre-recorded for Gateway 97.8, my ex-radio station that I used to work at. I did not know this. So he is obviously the one who claims that we need to... And I remember these comments he made about the pandemic. I mean, all this stuff about... he spoke about, was it 90% of children were claimed that 90% of people in hospital were, quote, unvaccinated. And then he made a comment about wearing masks on beach. Now, by the way, this is not my words. This is the words of Dan Whitman on Dan Whitman Outspoken. This is what he has been saying about this. Obviously, I watch that podcast quite a lot myself. But, I've always questioned what he said. And every doctor obviously has their estimations. This was a pandemic at the time. And I believe that, obviously, yes, he'll be a big loss to ITV, but they're falling apart now. And I'll tell you what, because of all these job cuts that are coming in, I mean, we saw Piers Morgan on BBC Breakfast the other day, let alone anything, thinking, let's write a book called, what was it, Woke is Dead or something. I can't pronounce the famous book's called, but
I think it's Piers Morgan's book, yeah.
It's a controversial book, but then he claims that he then said, so it's all good things, but then he sides with the Prime Minister of Australia on banning, what was it, social media for a certain under a certain age for like teens and stuff. Well, make your mind up, Piers, what side you're on, quite frankly, as well. So it's just been chaotic seeing all these things. Mike Graham, well, I'm not going to go into that, but yeah, Talk Radio clearly. Shame, because he was one of my favourite people on that station, and well, he'll probably go independent now, like a lot of them. So, yeah, comment down below, guys, what you make to that as well. Zach, what was your takeaway from PMQs today, where Nigel Farage decided to protest and watch from the balcony in the House of Commons?
Yeah, he protested the fact that he hadn't been called to speak that often in Prime Minister's Question. I mean, quite frankly, I think he's acting like a bit of a baby, to be fair. He is, well, what was it, the fourth, fifth, sixth biggest party in Parliament? Reform got like 5 MPs. So somehow they think that gives them a right to have an MP, have a question every week. Nigel Farage doesn't realise the fact that it's the way it works is that obviously the party leaders, Labour Conservatives, will have the questions, and then the third biggest party will have 2 questions to answer for the Prime Minister as well. It doesn't work to put a guarantee that Nigel Farage can get a question every week. And obviously, and it's done through a random ballot, no rigging or anything like that as well. It's a random ballot, and then that's how it works. There's obviously going to be a fair distribution between all the MPs, but he decided that he's had enough. He couldn't get called, and he's decided to protest by sitting in the actual gallery of the House of the Commons rather than the actual bit where they're where they're actually supposed to be debating. I think it's just one of these childish stunts that Nigel Farage is doing because he's not getting enough attention. He wish he would have got more attention. But it's just another childish stunt from him, I'm afraid. I think it's babyish. He's not going to be guaranteed every week to get a question, so I don't know why he's fussing about it. He knows how it works. I don't know why he's complaining about it.
And as well as that, there's been a lot of chat on this grooming gang scandal as well today in PMQ. So I heard there was some debate around that. There was some questions around some other stuff as well. I mean, I didn't really take note much PMQ today, but I heard that there was an intense hearing, Zach, because obviously there is a lot of news from the government. Obviously, Angela Rayner today announced her resignation speech in Parliament today. From, I believe this was what I read up on the BBC. I've just found out here. Cabinet crowd around Commons for Rayner's resignation speech is what I found today, saying the ex-deputy prime minister, a month after admitting she underpaid stamp duty, there was actually a crowd. Cabinet ministers including Rachel Reeves, David Lammy and Bridget Phillipson were not Sir Keir Starmer present as Rayner called for Labour to be bold in power, according to that as well. So I was definitely putting something like that to happen. I mean, Rayner obviously claimed that, obviously she, this housing, this stamp duty thing, it was certainly kind of very, kind of interesting. I mean, there was a lot that kind of Starmer today was really under a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on with these grooming gangs at the moment. I just want to I just want to mention a few things that was been going on today. And unfortunately, and it's not good news. There is the inquiry panel is in a crisis at the moment. There's been a third and a fourth survivor who resigned from the role in the Gunts inquiry into grooming gangs. So Elizabeth, which is not her real name, joined Fiona Goddard and Lily Reynolds, who quickly cried victims as violation in protest. Basically, what they've said is that they felt like the process felt like a cover-up and has created a toxic environment for survivors as well. Now, I believe there's something that's come out this evening from the survivors, actually, as well. And I just want to check what this is about, because there was a mention in this, it's a letter, I believe, that was what they mentioned. So this is at Harper, Goddard, Jessica, and Anne Reynolds, who were the four that quit the gangs inquiry. They could only consider return to the panel if Jessica Phillips resigns as safeguarding minister. Her conduct shows she's unfit to oversee a process that requires survivors to trust the government. That's a big statement. I don't know how that would happen. Also on the panel, Jenny consulting the appointment of a chair, who must be a senior sitting or former judge. And there's been some sort of controversy about this, whether the judge would get involved and whether it would be appropriate for a judge to be involved in this one. With no major conflicts of interest or in policing or social services. Victims are free to speak openly with the support network without fear of reprisal. The inquiry scope remains laser focused on grooming gangs and group-based child exploitation without expansion or dilution. But there were also the victims' liaison lead is replaced with an independent mental health professional. And that's what they want, and that's a significant one as well. Because I have to say, it is significant that they're calling for the safeguarding minister to go, and before they could return. I don't know if Jess Phillips would resign. I think she would try and defend her position quite well on this as well. But yeah, it's not going smoothly. The possible chair of this has also dropped out. It used to be a former chief police officer, but there's been controversy around that there as well. So it's a bit of a mess, quite frankly, what's going on with the grooming gangs inquiry, and it's no wonder why it's back in the news again, because of the survivors not being happy with the current process.
And also as well, I just want to update you on some news as well, because last week we forgot to cover the war in Ukraine. Because today, President Trump has announced some new sanctions for Russia, and these sanctions look very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, there's plans for sanctions, because I think what's happened so far is that Donald Trump has tried to get a second meeting in with Vladimir Putin overall. And so far, it hasn't worked as well. It's just not currently worked. It appears the demands are off at the moment. Sir Lavrov and Marco Rubio was due to meeting, and that's not happening now. There's also Trump said there's no rush, and I think because of the delay, I think there will be starting to see some sanctions in progress as well. Trump Trumpet himself been complete flip-flopping on what's actually going on, what he wants to do with Ukraine. He's now suggested that that the war should be stopped on the current lines. But the Russians not taking any interest in that whatsoever. They want the regime, as they call it, the Nazi regime, overthrown, which is basically their intention. So there's obviously a no-go from the start as well. Although I have to say, I think Zelensky kind of said as well that that he wouldn't mind a freeze on current lines and then negotiate from there onwards. And I think that's okay. But then again, it was a bit about the negotiation after that on who they can really get. Beyond that, it would be very interesting to see how that could work as well. So yeah, it's not going so well so far, and it's a bit of a mess.
That's all the latest news there from America and regarding the response to Ukraine there. Moving on now to some news regarding motor racing now and also football. We're going to cover this first. First of all, though, we're going to cover the Premier League, where there were some new managerial changes coming for Nottingham Forest as Sean Dyche takes over from Nuno Santos. Obviously, Nuno now managing West Ham. Sadly, the West Ham, though, crashed to another defeat. Some people were saying one of the worst performances of the entire season as well for West Ham. Not ideal for West Ham fans. I'm sure a lot of them are going to be very disappointed. Even Strictly Come Dancing's Thomas Skinner, who was on that show just the other week, then got eliminated as well. If you're watching Thomas Skinner, if you're watching the podcast, boss to you, my friend. I'm sure you're having sure they'll be back in Dino's Cafe in the morning or somewhere. Anyway, let's go over the results. Obviously, we've got Champions League football on tonight as well. I think Arsenal were in action yesterday. I think Liverpool were a couple of other teams, Liverpool, Chelsea, I think they're in action tonight as well. We've also, I think, got Europa League. Oh, not Europa League. I've got Tottenham, I think, playing as well. In terms of the latest match day results, well, we had Chelsea beating, obviously, Nottingham Forest 3-0. Ange got sacked. Literally, I mean, talk about timing for a manager being sacked. Ange Postecoglou got sacked literally within about 20 minutes of being, the match ending. I mean, goodness me, about that for a departure. It was like, boom, match is over, and I've been shown the door. Well, he lost his job pretty rapidly after that result there, as they got whitewashed by Chelsea. Sunderland beating Wolves 2-0 were definitely in trouble. For Burnley 2-0 winners against Leeds, Crystal Palace and Bournemouth in a 3-3 all draw. Brighton were 2-1 winners against Newcastle at home. Manchester City beating Everton 2-0. Arsenal won against Fulham 1-0, a narrow win for Arsenal, but extended their lead after Manchester United beat Liverpool. What is it, 4 games now without a win, but on Slot's side. Then we had Aston Villa beating Tottenham, and as I mentioned, that was 2-1 by the way, and West Ham losing against Brentford 2-0 for Brentford. They're winning that one. And then obviously the next bit of matches, Leeds and West Ham is the Friday night football at 8. Chelsea Sunderland is on Saturday at 3 o'clock. We then have Newcastle Fulham at 3, Man U Brighton at 5:30, and 8 o'clock with Brentford and Liverpool at 8 o'clock then. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, 6 matches on the Sunday. Wolves Burnley, and Arsenal Crystal Palace, Aston Villa Man City, Bournemouth Nottingham Forest are the 2 o'clock kickoff, 4:30. We'll see Everton against Tottenham at Everton's new stadium, or newest stadium, and I expect that one will be a pretty tasty counting indeed. Zach, what was your opinion on the last week's match day results?
Yeah, quite a bit gone on last week. I mean, the obvious headlines, there was a few surprises. My headlines on that last week was sack Postecoglou gone within like 15, 20 minutes, as you mentioned, of losing 3-0. And it's absolutely wild. They only left the game halfway through the pitch. It was on the TV camera before, and then left it halfway through the game. I think it's obviously to prepare his sacking. And not the and Postecoglou didn't even get an interview. He didn't even do a post-match interview. He was just shown the door before you can do one. He obviously had to tell the players that he was gone. But clearly the decision was made up then as well. It took no hesitation for the Nottingham City owner to sack the manager. I mean, that's quite something, really. I mean, I've seen them sacked 2 hours after the match, but I've never seen them sacked within 15, 20 minutes after the match. I mean, that's crazy. The other headlines for me as well, a wild Crystal Palace and Bournemouth match was 3-3. That's quite something. And then Arsenal continuing their winning run and going back to lead the table now. Aston Villa beating Tottenham was another highlight for me. And the big highlight was also Liverpool being beaten by Manchester United at home for the first time in an old firm derby for many, many years. You have to go back, I think, 10 years or something, or 8 years for that to last happen. But yeah, it's the first time that Liverpool was defeated at home to Manchester United in many, many years. And yeah, it's a real shock result there on that front as well. But the other shock as well was the dismal West Ham result against Brentford. 2-0 loss for West Ham. But it was it 3? Was it 2? It says 2-0 here. It was 2-0. It was 3-0 at one point, but it got ruled offside. But it was 2-0. A really, as I said, really dismal performance by West Ham overall. They did start out strong, and then they just gave up after the goals went in. Really, really shocking performance. There was protests on the night anyway. I mean, there was fans that left their seats empty even before the game began in protest for the owners. But yeah, it was a really shocking night. As you mentioned, well, the next time I'm back in action Friday night this week at 8 o'clock. Pick of the 3 o'clock for me. There's only 2 games at 3 o'clock, actually. That would be Chelsea Sunderland is the one I think to look out for, that one. Man United Brighton at 5:30. And then there's 4, and also Brentford Liverpool is at 8 o'clock as well. And then there are 4 2 o'clock games on the Sunday, 5 games overall. The pick of them for me, Arsenal, Palace, Aston Villa, Manchester City. That should be 2 cracking games on in hand as well. Everton Spurs will be wrapping up the weekend at 4:30 as well. I just want to mention some of the Champions League stuff that's going on, Charles, if that's okay with you, tonight. There are games in progress at the moment, but we haven't gotten a good picture. Let's start with yesterday's results before coming to tonight's games. It was a very successful night for the British teams overall. Newcastle 3-0 win against Jose Mourinho's Benfica. That was a great result. Newcastle played really well in that one. PSG beating Bayern Leverkusen 7-2. That's quite a result. Same for Barcelona beating Olympiacos 6-1. Manchester City won their game against Villarreal 2-0. And it's helped as well by Erling Haaland as well with a 17th-minute goal. An absolute crack of him. And the first goal of the season for Bernardo Silva as well, which is a great one. And also, well done to Arsenal. The best result of the night for them, I think, certainly in terms of quality. 4-0 win against Atletico Madrid. Really, really great performance throughout the game. I mean, they were just really well put the pressure, played incredibly. They deserve fair credit on that one. Moving on to tonight's game, which is still in progress, by the way, but I just want to keep an update on some of them. Chelsea are absolutely thrashing Ajax 5-1. It's 86 minutes in at the moment. Real Madrid are winning against Juventus 1-0. Monaco and Spurs is currently all square 0-0 at the moment in that one. Whilst Liverpool are back to winning in ways, they are 5-1 up against Eintracht Frankfurt as well in that one. I should mention tomorrow's night. There's more European action tomorrow night. Let's talk about the Europa League. And I'll come on to another matter in a moment as well involving Europa League. But let me go through tomorrow night's Europa League games. Go Ahead Eagles. Aston Villa are taking on Go Ahead Eagles away at 5:45. In the Scottish side, Rangers are away at Brann. That's also at 5:45. At 8 o'clock, involving the British side, involve Nottingham Forest at home to Porto. This is their first match with Sean Dyche as their new manager. A very tricky test in Porto, while Celtic, who lost at the weekend, take on Sturm Graz as well. In the Europa Conference League, some British sides in action there as well. Not the Europa Conference League, just the Conference League on its own. We have Aberdeen away at AK Athens. as well. Lincoln Red Imps against Lynch Ponsance as well. Crystal Palace will take on AK Larnaca at home. Shamrock Rovers in action against Silgy. And then obviously the other side to keep an eye on as well is not that one. I think I've gone through that one actually, to be fair. That's right. I know that's all done actually on the terms of the British side as well in the Conference League. But I want to mention Aston Villa, if that's okay, quickly, Charlie, because
I know about this news.
There's controversy going on not this game, but their next scheduled, the following scheduled game, involving their tie to Tel Aviv, or Tel Aviv. Controversy this week over the fact that West Midlands Police asked the Maccabi Tel Aviv not to attend the game, but on the fears of safety grounds. This has prompted outrage across the aisle from all political sides, or except for the independent MPs who seemingly celebrating the decision, like they hate on Jewish people shows as well. Now, the government have tried to basically do all they can on this, and basically find a solution where the Maccabi Tel Aviv fans can attend the game, but Maccabi Tel Aviv have decided not to sell their away allocations for the game in November, which is a real utter shame. And I have to say as well, it puts a really bad image on the community that basically Jewish fans are not allowed at the game, or not being sold tickets to the game. It's a really, really shocking situation. And I think it's an embarrassing thing all around, I have to say, for everyone involved. I think it's really, really bad.
I've seen some news in Israel. I've heard there's potentially, I heard there was a ceasefire going on, and there's apparently been some tension around
yeah.
that as well. But anyway, that's all the football news done now. Moving on now to the Formula One. We raced at COTA last weekend. Oh my God, McLaren sinking down. Should we say McLaren won the Constructors' Championship, but Max Verstappen took the clean sweep of sprint win and race win. McLaren unfortunately sunk the ship at the wheel by crashing. Calls it first lap crash in the sprint where it kind of concertinaed up, and then Oscar Piastri. Whether it was a racing incident or not, I don't know. And then obviously collected Lando Norris, and both retired in the sprint. Then Piastri had a dismal race, just didn't have any pace, and then Lando Norris finishing second. Took many laps to get past Ferrari's Charles Leclerc, stuck him dirty air. Even despite Leclerc doing a different strategy and starting on the soft tyres, which is what Norris and Verstappen, I think, ran in their second stints. The hard didn't seem to be worth it because of the track temperature being very high as well. So, yes, but as I mentioned earlier on, there was team outrage at Alpine as Franco Colapinto decided, I'm not having any of that. Told to remain behind his teammate Pierre Gasly, only for them to overtake him. I have to say, Franco Colapinto was like to you, Alpine, hold on, I'm not listening to you. And he actually decided, I'm going to overtake Gasly. And, effectively, what was effectively one of the back points. We also had a retirement in that race, which was Carlos Sainz, who has a 5-place grid drop for Mexico City this weekend. Sadly, his move on Andrea Kimi Antonelli was, 2 of one, half a dozen of the other. It was a little bit of a day late at a dollar short, and boom, he went out after suffering damage. It was a same after having great sprint, and then gets caught up in that collision. Not an ideal one, but yes, we had obviously a sprint race. Max Verstappen out 40 points behind Oscar Piastri in the World Championship standings as well. There's also been some news as Amelia Diamondberg, the person on Chicken Shop Date, has been driven by F1 stars as Ollie Behrman becomes the latest star to show her the ropes of driving on a racing circuit. So I can't wait for that. I heard they got some good content in that. So very interesting indeed. Anyway, let's go over the results as I mentioned there a win for Max Verstappen in both the sprint and the main Grand Prix itself. Zach, I'm going to ask you, what was your assessment on the latest US Grand Prix weekend?
Wow. I didn't believe it before, but now it's possible. We definitely have a freeway for the championship now. First of all, let's start with the McLaren incident on the sprint race on Saturday. I think it was a racing incident. I just think it was an unfortunate one for McLaren. Nico Hülkenberg, who started fourth, went from the hero to the zero in this instance by taking out both McLaren drivers, because obviously Piastri got hit, and then obviously because of Piastri got hit, he then went into the side of Lando Norris, and then took him out as well. I mean, it is a complete dream scenario for a Red Bull fan. I don't think it was like something that deserved penalties or anything like that, or any repercussions of sort of. I have to say, no repercussions needed on that one, I don't think. But obviously, now, I mean, if you look at the predominant blame, it sort of went to Oscar, but I don't think it was. I still think it was a racing incident. Overall.
Racing, yeah, I would agree. Racing incident.
But also, it also had an impact for the rest of the weekend because Piastri failed to sort of recover from that. And Red Bull were quicker again. And then, again, Lando sort of had a miserable start. Not a miserable start, but just lost position. I think he got the fact he struggled to pass Leclerc on the track for a while. It still, to me, it made Max Verstappen go off into the distance. He could do whatever he wanted. So yeah, I think that really sums it up as well. But anyway, the results are clear. It was Verstappen winning, Lando second, Leclerc third, Hamilton fourth. Good results for Ferrari this weekend, I have to say as well. Lewis seemed a bit pleased with that one as well. I have to say, it was a good weekend for Ferrari. Oscar Piastri fifth. Yeah, not a great weekend for him. Another costly points as well. Obviously lost points considering as well. Yeah, he just wasn't great. George Russell sixth, Tsunoda seventh, Hülkenberg eighth, Ollie Behrman ninth. Fernando Alonso 10th, Liam Lawson 11th, Lance Stroll 12th, Anthony 13th, Albon 14th, Ocon 15th, Hadar 16th, Colapinto 17th, Gabriel Bortoleto 18th, Gasly 19th, Carlos Sainz 20th. So yeah, pretty much Red Bull weekend. Next up is Mexico on this weekend as well. Another difficult, interesting track as well. The Red Bull upgrades have clearly worked, and you think they're going to this weekend in the history of Mexico as the favourites. They've done well in the last couple of races, certainly as well at Mexico. But yeah, it's it's a high altitude circuit. Again, a lot more corners, I have to say as well. I have to say it's a bit more of a higher downforce circuit. Medium, I would say, medium downforce because of some of the front stretch, but as well. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens there. Sorry, my phone's going off. I'm going to have to ignore it for a little bit. Yeah, it's going to certainly be an interesting weekend. As well, see if McLaren can recover or if Red Bull really have the car to take on it now, and whether Max's form continues and whether McLaren's unlucky form moves on as well.
I had to say, I went on a bit of a rant the other day when I done my live stream on TikTok because I called out Zach Brown for his sprint race comments about Nico Hülkenberg. He claimed Nico Hülkenberg caused the incident. Can I just say, I'm glad he retracted his comments, but can I just say this to Zach Brown? I think that was an absolutely ridiculous comment. I don't understand how you can blame Hülkenberg for that incident. Yeah, we all make mistakes. It's entirely what happens. But McLaren have got this thing this season where they've kind of, tried to be like, oh, we're managing our drivers. We've got two number one drivers. No, don't be like that. Don't lead the team like that. I mean, Zach, you are the CEO of the company. Let Andrea Stella get all of this press treatment. Let him face all the criticism. Here's the ex-race engineer Fernando Alonso, and he's also the team principal. You run the car company. You oversee all of the motorsport projects, like you oversee IndyCar. You oversee your new WEC entry coming out in a couple of years' time. By the way, McLaren are running in the World Endurance Championship in a couple of years. They've got James Barkley now as leading that project. But focus on the motorsport division. Focus on the road cars. Let Andrea Stella do all that. He's the F1 team principal. He's in charge of that F1 team. So that will be my message to Zach Brown. Obviously, I understand he's going to do that because, he's going to attend these F1 races. He obviously attends IndyCar as well. I know that for a fact. So, yeah. Embarrassing. I feel like McLaren's F1 team this season has definitely been in a right chaos. Management-wise, yeah. Consistency must improve. Definitely. Given now Max Verstappen is 46 points behind in the World Championship. For me, Max Verstappen still win this. I will rule him out. I think he's got, even though he might make mistakes on the occasions, people might question him, I think Max could still win this World Championship. Comment down below, guys, who you think will win the World Championship and a prediction for the next race in Mexico City. Moving on now to NASCAR, which took place at Talladega, and Zach, quite a crazy finish. Chase Briscoe joins the World Championship for
Indeed, and a very important win for Chase Briscoe. He is the second confirmed driver into the Final Four after getting a really crucial last lap victory and a last lap pass as well in the moment as well. It was just incredible finish. We managed to get that last lap pass and the car's corner path as well. Really good stuff there. Todd Gilliland as well, second position. Ahead of Ty Gibbs and Bubba Wallace Jr. It is incredible stuff there as well. That finished as well. Cole Custer was fifth, Chase Carson Hovercar sixth, Tyler Reddick seventh, Christopher eighth, Zane Smith ninth, Brad Keselowski 10th. Lots of weird and wonderful names inside the top 10, by the way, I should mention. But Chase Briscoe was the most important one out of them all, and to win that one. Now, we know that Chase Briscoe's won. We know that Denny Hamlin's through. There are 2 slots left. One is going to be decided by points, and one is going to be potentially decided by victory. In fact, up to 2 of them could be decided by points if it's not one of the 8 involved. But let me just give you an example of who's currently ahead. Christopher Bell's on plus 37 above the cutoff point. Kyle Larson is plus 36 points ahead of next one, which is William Byron, 5th. So, as long as Bell and Larson have good races, they have a good chance of going through. But if one of the 4 in the bottom 4 win, then the likelihood is that it could go down to the wire. Bell and Larson are 1 point different. And depending on where they finish in Martinsville, either of them could be out at an instance. They could also be through. But yeah, Chase Elliott is definitely the one in danger. So is Ryan Blaney. They're almost certainly, unless they win, they're almost certainly going to be out. Joe Logano is going to be struggling as well. I think it's William Byron. It's going to be tough for the bottom 4 to get through unless they need a victory to go through now. We know that Briscoe and Hamlin are in there at the moment as well. And the question is, who is going to join them? We don't know at the moment. So it remains to see at Martinsville this Sunday at 6 p.m. UK time. I should say, we normally say 7 p.m. UK time, but the clocks are changing this weekend, so it's 6 p.m. UK time, 2 Eastern in the United States as well. But this is going to be so much to look forward to this weekend as well. It's a short track. Anything could happen. It's going to be a tricky one for the driver to navigate. And they are playing for the final playoff spot as well. The final 2 playoff slots will be decided.
And also as well, I mean, looking at the results there, Chase Elliott got caught up in that big collision, I think, with Austin Cindric, which has put him on the back foot. I mean, you know,
Yeah,
Logano
and
Byron,
there were
I think,
several
were
big
caught up in it. I know
collisions.
Byron, I think, was caught up in that as well. Quite a
Yeah.
few drivers were caught up in that big Talladega Classic wreck, as they call it. And also as well, Larson was looking good and then ran out of fuel or had an issue on the final lap, and he dropped him well down the field. So yes, not ideal. And I mean, you know, these drivers need to win. One of these drivers, obviously, you know, Bell and Larson are in on points at the moment. But if any one of these bottom four drivers, Byron, Logano, Blaney, or Elliott, win, they are automatically into the championship for Phoenix. So this is going to be a very spicy penultimate race of the season at Martinsville this coming weekend. I cannot wait to see what's going to happen in the Cup Series on Sunday. So yeah, a very interesting race. Also to mention as well, the clocks do go back early in the morning on Sunday as well. So get an extra hour in bed to anyone who wants that extra sleep. So yeah, certainly will be worth it if you're staying up early in the NASCAR racing as well. Anyway, now it is time for a musical interlude, and tonight we are going to go back to the 1980s, and this one is an absolute classic. Rick Astley plays now with an absolute classic song. This is Never Gonna Give You Up. We'll see you in a few minutes' time. Rick Astley there with an absolute classic. Never Gonna Give You Up. I bet all of you guys were dancing along to that one at home. What an absolute classic. Zach, what do you make that song? One of Rick Astley's finest hits.
And not only one of their finest hits, his finest hits, but also well known for many memes, many trolls, many pranks that have been used. His song has been used on the internet by a load of content creators. It's a years-long prank that everyone does as well, with him singing "Never Gonna Give You Up" and various ways to do it. It's just incredible. It's still incredible how that song captures the ability for people to take the absolute mickey out of each other on that one. So fair play. He never knew what he's going to create, and he certainly did create something that people sort of captured onto. And yeah, it was certainly very good.
Well, anyway, that's Rick. That was the song musical interlude this week. Now it's time to talk about Strictly Come Dancing's and latest results from the last week. Obviously, it wasn't Icons Week is on Saturday. Well, sadly, I have some news. Stefan is unfortunately pulling out for good now. He only came back last week, but sadly, it seemed like it was the end of the road for him. He's sadly going to be out now. I heard it's an injury, or I heard that his partner, I think Diane Buswell, was pregnant as well, like from what I understand. So that certainly wasn't ideal. Anyway, let's look at the scores on the doors for our latest week. This is Conversation Street segment out, by the way. Alex actually scored. I think it was the ex-BBC presenter. I think Alex and Joe joined us there. They danced the rumba to 36 points, the high score of that week. I think one of the highest of the series. A 10 from Shirley Ballas there as well. Certainly was very interesting. Then we had obviously Lewis and Katia with the foxtrot. Difficult dance got 34, 9 from Shirley, 8 and 9s there from the two ladies there. I'm not seeing Shirley. Craig and Anderson's 8. 8s as well for Amber and Nikita. Eddie and Vito scored their high score, 31 to their couple's choice. Couple's choice goals, Jimmy and Lauren got 29. Then a tango, Jordan and Lexis was 30. Amber Davis was on 33. Amber and Nikita with their Argentine tango, the first one of the series, believe it or not, to that one as well. Vicky and Kai got 29. That was their best score of the series. Balvinda and Julian Balvinda ended up in the dance off for the second straight week, got 29 points as well. 28 points, sorry, my apologies there. Carol and Carlos, 27 for the quick step. Retired, obviously, Stefan and Diane, as I mentioned there. Harry and Karen Rumba got 26, wasn't a smooth this week. Chris and Nadia sadly got eliminated, as it says Pete eliminated there. 24, and Lavoie and Aliash. Oh no, Lavoie scored 14 points, which I heard was one of the lowest scores on a week 4 in Strictly Come Dancing history. That's a new record for Strictly Come Dancing, the lowest score on week 4. So, yes, obviously Icons Week next week. Zach, what did you take away from the latest week in Strictly? Obviously, glad to see Chris and Nadia go. But there's been plenty of shocks on this leaderboard.
Yeah, I have to say, first of all, see, commiseration about Stefan. Unfortunately, the injury is quite serious, and it's very unfortunate for him to be getting that injury as well. It's just it was just unfortunate for him to get that. Chris Robshaw is the latest evictee out of the Strictly Come Dancing contest. I mean, fair enough, I think it was enough as well. I mean, yeah, some of the scores were really low, as you mentioned there, Charlie. In that one, very surprising to see Lavox get 14. Very, very low score during the cha-cha. They got a 3, 4, a 2, blimey, and a 5. A bit harsh if you look at it, but they obviously weren't the worst race one. Obviously, Chris as well was the one that struggled a little bit. The scores are improving, and for the others, but Lavox not really doing much as well. Alex actually as well, if I remember rightly, got a 10. as well. 36. Shirley Bowers got scored 10 there for 36s as well. Yeah, very interesting as well in that front. So mixed scores all round as we go into Icons Week next week.
Yes, that's on Saturday. I can't wait. Icons Week's going to be fun. I'll be interested to gets the couple's choice this week because with Strictly you can always throw some curveballs in, especially with what's going to happen. So yeah, and also I think the week after we have the Halloween special for Strictly as well. So it will be all very spooky. The spooky season for Strictly Come Dancing is certainly coming up very, very soon for all you fans. But Icons Week next week, it'll be the big one, I am sure, for that one for Strictly fans. Now on actual Conversation Street this week, we are going to be talking all about something that I think has been really, well, not necessarily driving me a bit mad, but this thing has been really coming out. I want to talk to you about one protein shake. Now, I have a lot of people that buy protein shakes for fitness, for, using to have their lunch with instead of having a lunch drink. These protein shakes obviously appear in lots of sports places like leisure centres, gyms, flavoured drinks. I've tried one myself and I thought it was so artificial that I will chuck it away. But loads of supermarkets have taken obviously brands like YouFit, other brands, they've started selling this like a drink style recipe. They kind of used it to blend the drink together, like a protein kind of flavoured drink. You know what I'm on about. To all the listeners who've ever drunk one of these, let me know. Obviously, they're very kind of on trend at the moment. That kind of all fit in this in supermarkets. Now, I don't know about you, but protein shakes obviously have their health. Well, they suppose they have their benefit and also their their negative effects. Should I say? They obviously have,
obvious. I knew I gave
it's a very controversial subject. Brands like YouFit, the Goodness Shakes, Grenades, Barbells. The way they market them is just nuts. I don't understand how you. It's basically a milkshake with blending ice cream and flavours of sweetness. Apparently, that's what these drinks are. Zach, what's your assessment on this? Do you think these drinks, obviously, they are kind of what people have on workouts, but these drinks are very high in sugar and stuff, and very high in a lot of naughty stuff, particularly.
You brought so many iconic
I wouldn't describe it as naughty, but very excitable stuff to say that makes you get excited. Shall we say that? Yeah, I mean, look, I don't drink this sort of thing. It's not for me personally, not that sort of exercise stuff, because it's too much. I mean, you think about it, you're drinking that, and then you're going on bloody exercise things, and then you're it's a lot, and I suppose as well, in some ways it might motivate you, but then again other times it could be a recipe for disaster as well. But I don't drink these sort of things. It's not for me. I usually don't really go to the gym as well because I don't like going to the gym. Sorry, I'm not a muscles guy. Anyway, I don't think they're pretty. They're great if you want to get a little chilly mood up, but there other complications can come with it now and then. I don't think I want the other complications.
So that's the first thing now. And the second thing I wanted to talk about was I know a lot of you guys on social media have been talking about some new rules coming into EU countries. Well, that's what I'm going to be talking about quickly now. The 13th of October, I believe, was a date where the EU decided to announce new rules regarding digital biometric ID. I can just confirm to that you now exactly what it is. So these were new restrictions, I believe, that came in to UK airports. Obviously, I'm going to get Zach to go over this now because this news is very interesting to say the least. Now, it's a new EU entry and exit system which has been put live. It was the 12th of October that went live. I just want to go over this because I know a lot of people have been voicing their concerns on the internet about, being refused entry on flights, refused entry into other countries. There's been a lot of people kind of very concerned about it. I understand your concern, because not a lot of people probably know what have probably not heard about this. So here we go. So on the 12th of October, 28 European countries started introducing Europe's new digital border system, the entry and exit for external borders. European countries started electronically registering the data of non-EU nationals for short days, 90 days, and then a 180-day period. They'll do for a progressive period of 6 months. For the progressive rollout, 29 European countries, including border crossing points, will now deploy the system as well. Since the EEFS has been operational, travellers now required to provide their passport information, facial image, and fingerprint up on the border, their first entry or exit. For subsequent entries and exits, only quick verification will be needed. Additionally, some countries may choose to implement self-service kiosks to further automate their boarding passes as well. The progressive start enables European countries to benefit from the new system whilst border authorities protect the transport industry and also against that as well. Also, they're claiming to be next steps. As of April 2026, it will be fully operational for all external border systems. So this is obviously the new rules that have come into place. I know a lot of people have been quite confused about this. I know that some governments, particularly here in the UK, have seen a lot of widespread criticism for digital IDs, particularly what the Prime Minister wants to roll out here in the UK. We've had obviously even America, Ron DeSantis, the Florida governor, even jumping in on the act as well on X, criticising the move. So Zach, obviously digital IDs have been a big talking point of debates at the moment, but what's your thoughts on these new rules? I know a lot of people on social media, some people who are potentially flying into have been refused because of these new rules. And what's your assessment on this?
I think, they're necessary. I think this is obviously part of the thing that causes Brexit and everything like that as well. And I suppose this obviously affects those that are not, non-EU citizens and stuff like that as well. It's a new entry-exit system, operational 12th of October. You use external borders, that means data collection as well. You've arrived at first priority person data, fingerprints, passport control officers take photo of your face, scan your fingerprints, they're recording a digital file. As well, if you register some of your data in advance, you can do it. In some ways, it could be done quicker, actually, if you think about it. Dedicated equipment is only border crossing, a mobile application, if made arrival of the country or arrival or departure. Any of instances, you'll meet a passport control officer. Just the control. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things. It's more of like a digitalized way and everything like that as well. And it's record your information in the EES. As well, and you will only verify your fingers and photos as well. If you had a biometric passport, it enter more quickly using a self-evidence system as well. But yeah, it's an interesting system. If you're traveling to the skiing area as well, it's valid for 3 years. You only need to put your fingerprints at the border when you enter and exit. If you frequently travel to the skiing area, rest assured staying it's no more than 90 days as well, and that sort of thing. So yeah, I mean, it's an interesting system as well. It's obviously not applicable in stuff like Ireland and Cyprus as well, because it doesn't apply to them, but it does apply to like Austria, Belgium, many other countries, Denmark, Finland, Germany. It's an interesting system, but I think this is the total result of Brexit and some of the changes that had to be done there as well. But it's up to them to decide on that one, and obviously that's the measure that they decide to add.
I think, look, this system, I understand the concern it's causing, because I have seen, a lot of news about how this is going to work. I mean, for example, okay, obviously this applies to people flying into airports, but what about people who are using the shuttle, people using the Eurotunnel? There is a border checkpoint there at the Eurotunnel before you get on. Are you going to be using machines like that? This is what, because obviously the Eurotunnel docks into France, and if France are operating this new rule or this new system, then do I still have to then use? I mean, is this people say, okay, this replacing digital passports, or passports, on that you hand, what you take to the airport as ID, but and then it's replacing it using digital biometric style solutions.
And then you just
Hmm.
There is a lot of confusion on these rules, and I think as well, like I said, does it apply to just people flying? Is there going to be rules on, should you use? Are they going to be introduced at border checkpoints? People using cars as well, particularly those who drive, say, like, on the shuttle or the ferry or stuff like that. Because I mean, Zach, there's going to be a lot of people who won't just fly. People, travel into Europe. Some people obviously drive, use the shuttle, drive across France, drive across like. But I mean, I'm talking about people who make the trips, the big events and stuff. Like the F1, for example, and say like Spa, for example. Like a lot of people who drive to Belgium, and I know for a fact that some of these countries you don't obviously have borders, but they're kind of just driving into countries without a border check. These rules are certainly for people driving and flying. It's a bit confusing, I think.
when you're in there, it looks like
I mean, well, it is what it is at the end of the day. I mean, I'm not sure if I don't know if it seems to be done at airports mostly as well. I think it's designed to stop illegal migration, so I think it's a good part about it in one ways as well. But yeah, it's interesting. I mean, UK it's done at Eurotunnel to spend on registration, kiosks, and infrastructure as well. I think it's done at Eurostar, Universal. So yeah, it's obviously prepared for other examples of this. And I mean, look, at the end of the day, it is what it is. I mean, just you need to provide digitalisation. I think that's fair enough. I mean, I don't see the problem with it, but it's just I suppose a bit of red tape for UK citizens because of Brexit and everything like that as well.
Anyway, comment down below, guys, what you make to the new rules on the digital IDification at airports. Unfortunately, guys, that's it for the Tonight Show podcast. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Have a great rest of the week. Take care, everyone. From me and Zach here tonight. It's goodbye.
you end up being more suspicious.
Yeah.
Because